Hi everyone, Heather here with astrologywithheather.com, and I am back with another weekly forecast. This one is for Monday, August 30th, all the way through to Sunday, September 5th of 2021. And this week we have kind of an interesting energy. We have Mars, the planet of action and willpower, in the sign of Virgo, coming into an exact opposition with Neptune, which is kind of a more relaxed energy, to say the very least. And so anytime we have a Neptune alignment, Neptune is a planet that tends to dissolve and water down anything it touches, especially when it comes into alignment with Mars. And so this can translate to a lack of motivation or confusion about what action to take, but this can also translate to some of the higher expressions of the planet Neptune, right? Especially in the sign of Pisces, which represents compassion, which represents empathy, which represents intuition, spirituality, creativity. And so actions that are taken this week could come from a place of deep compassion, deep empathy. It could come from a place of deep spiritual understanding, of wanting to do something that helps other people through that lens of compassion and empathy. It could be a really good week for that creative spark to allow you or propel you to move forward with something. And so, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it can feel kind of ominous. It can feel a little anxiety provoking to be in the middle of a Mars-Neptune opposition like this, especially if it's hitting you quite hard, which we'll talk about a little bit later on in this forecast. And you guys might already have noticed that I'm not in my normal, fancy setup right now. To be perfectly honest, it's been a very busy week, and I'm also preparing to leave to go out of town next week. And so I'm kind of doing double the work. I'm doubling up on everything I have to record. And so it was either, do it this way with my webcam in front of my computer or not at all. And I wanted to make sure that you guys got your weekly forecast and all the information you need for this week. And so that's what we're doing here. But yeah, so I have kind of a good amount to talk about, mainly the Mars-Neptune energy, which is kind of the big player this week. We also have Mercury coming into a grand trine with Saturn in the sign of Aquarius, and also the North Node in the sign of Gemini. So it's reflecting what happened last week with Venus, which was a very beautiful, very harmonious, very fated and karmic energy that was a little bit more rebalancing and restabilizing. This week, it's a mixed bag because of that Mars-Neptune opposition. That Mars-Neptune opposition, I should say, is like being mitigated to a certain extent because Pluto and Mars are in trine. And so this can actually be utilized and harnessed in a very focused and very specific way. And so it's not as dicey as it could be, but I still do have a little bit of concern about how this will play out in the collective. I mentioned that actually at the end of last week's video. We see sometimes major events transpiring that are very confusing in their nature and the way that they came about and what's really going on. And so we could see some of that this week or next week or, sometime within a couple of weeks of this opposition, if not right now, with the more positive alignments. And so it's just kind of something to keep an eye on and to pay attention to. And again, it is an energy that can feel kind of ominous. It's this energy where you might be feeling a little amped up or you might be feeling anxious, like something's about to happen, but you don't quite know exactly what that is. And so you might be picking up on energies that are coming in from outside sources and sparking that sort of Mars activation of the nervous system, right? Of the sympathetic nervous system, of that fight or flight response, especially in the sign of Virgo. Virgo is a sign that's very prone to anxiety. Mars in Virgo can be quite high strung. And so with the sensitivities that are going to be heightened because of the Neptune involvement, Neptune, again, dissolves the boundaries of everything it touches. Because of the sensitivities of that Neptune involvement, you might be picking up on stuff and it might cause you to overthink things or feel amped up. This could also be ambivalence toward making decisions because you're overthinking and rethinking, and there's a lot of like confusion around which direction you need to take and which impulse that you should take action on, because you might be feeling a lot of different impulses all at once right now. Again, and because it's that sensitivity, right? So some of this might be coming from you, and some of this might be coming from other people and their influence, and some of this might be coming from the collective. And so it's an interesting energy, but again, there's a way for you to focus this. There's a way for you to harness it. There's a way for you to use it in a very positive manner. And that's something that we'll get into more specifically in the forecast for all 12 signs. Speaking of which, if you're new to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because you never want to miss an important astrology update. And I do a new video, usually a little bit fancier than this one, every single Saturday at 9 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time. And make sure you hit that notification bell as well. And even if you're not new to my channel, I always start my videos with a general forecast, which is basically what I just did, 5 to 10 minutes long. Hopefully you didn't skip that. Obviously you didn't, because you're still here. And this will provide an important context for the energy that we'll be discussing in the weekly forecast for all 12 signs. Speaking of which, when we do get into the forecast for all 12 signs, make sure that you listen to your sun sign, your moon sign, and your rising sign to get a more holistic overview of the energy for the week ahead. The rising sign will be the most predominant energy, the sun sign will be secondary, and the moon sign is important to listen to as well, although this will be a little bit more internalized and subjective. Finally, at the end of each video, I do a 2 to 3 minute overview of next week's energy, which is beautiful, by the way. And so you want to stick around until the end if you want to hear about that. And so, there's actually one more thing I do want to touch on here about this week before we kind of end the general forecast. And this is, kind of a big one. We have Venus, which is going to be squaring Pluto, which is the planet that represents things like power and control issues, power struggles. Venus is strong in its home sign, in the sign of Libra this week. And so, that's typically a good thing. Maybe Venus can hold its own a little bit and keep the peace, keep the balance, but I think we will be seeing a disruption of equilibrium within relationships, particularly on a personal level, where things are going to be feeling off kilter when it comes to the balance and distribution of power. And that will be especially prevalent for those who have sun, moon, rising sign, a lot of energy in the cardinal signs. The cardinal signs, for those who are not aware, are Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. And so you guys at the end of this week, over the weekend, because this is happening on Sunday, might be feeling that for a few days. It's not a long lasting energy, but you'll be feeling it a few days before and a few days after. This week there is some good energy and there is some positive potential around that Mars-Neptune opposition. I wouldn't say that it's a complete loss or that anything, super crazy might go on a personal level. There's a specific way that you'll be able to harness this, but the following week, if you have something of great importance that you need to dive into or jump into, looks a little bit nicer. The end of this week is nice too, besides that Venus-Neptune square. And so if you're looking to kind of launch into something, initiate something, also for those who are not aware, I do provide an electional astrology guide for every single month, where there's a calendar that gives you specific dates that are positive, decent, or maybe not so good for launching into whatever it is you want to launch into for the month ahead. And I also go over a specific chart that you guys can use for initiating the big stuff. And I provide that to my Cosmic community, which you can actually join and access that free of charge this week. I have a 7-day free trial membership going on. And so you can find the information for that at the link in the description down below. And electional astrology, for those who are not aware, is not astrology of like elections. It's the art of finding the best timing to support you in whatever it is that you want to create, start, initiate, whatever it is that you want to do. So if you're planning a big event or a launch or something like that, that's what electional astrology is for. So anyway, that's kind of what's going on, and that's what I have for you. So free gift for you guys. And this is a good month. I should also mention that, if you have something big that you want to move forward with, I would recommend initiating and jumping into it for most people, not everyone, sooner rather than later, because there's some diciness in October, there's some diciness in November, there's some diciness in December. And so we have a good window for a couple of weeks. The new moon next week, which we'll talk about at the end, is quite nice as well. So get in while you can, do the things, move around, shift, pivot while the energy is ripe for it to go very smoothly for you, or at least more smoothly than it could, for the remainder of the year. Okay, so let's get into the forecast for all 12 signs, beginning, of course, with Aries and Aries rising. And I actually don't, or do I have my zodiac signs? Oh, I have my old zodiac signs here. So there we go. I'm going back to basics here, my old school zodiac sign. I used to always record this right on my computer, but with my fancy camera, which I don't have hooked up right now, when I was in my old office. So anyway, Aries and Aries rising. So for Aries, this energy is happening in your 6th house, which is the house of work, health, and daily routines. Intuitively, you might be feeling like there's something that you need to move forward with, or launch into, or jump into, involving especially work and career-related opportunities. Because this is in a really nice trine to Pluto also, which is in the sign of Capricorn. This is a time, and this is the Pluto trine to Mars is actually happening the following week. So we'll talk about that a little bit more in next week's forecast. But it's part of this configuration. Really, the configuration is Mars opposing Neptune and then coming into this really nice trine with Pluto. And so basically what's going on here is that Mars is getting you fired up and really focused. You're going to be feeling really, really focused. You're going to really want to kind of push forward with something. This is a powerful combination, Mars and Pluto. It combines that psychic energy, the psychological and emotional drive that compels you to take action, that compels you to manifest something, with the physical activity, the physical activation, the physical drive that you need to actually make things happen, right? You can't just make it happen cyclically. For the most part, in most situations, for most things that you're doing, you have to also incorporate or include some sort of physical action. This is where you're going to have the strength, the intuition too. Like, you're going to know intuitively, if you follow your intuition, if you block out all of the riffraff that's causing maybe ambivalence or anxiety, and you stay true to yourself, you'll know what direction to take with your work this week. And if it's not your work, then it's with some sort of opportunity to be in service of others. It's some sort of health opportunity, maybe to connect with somebody who really knows what they're doing, somebody who's in a position of authority who can help guide you in the right direction, very specifically through their research, through their expertise, to heal yourself in the way that you need to. So this is a powerful week for healing, and a powerful week for creating through your own volition new opportunities for yourself involving work or career or work-related projects. Okay, and then for Taurus and for Taurus rising. So for Taurus, this energy is happening in your 5th house, which is the house of joy and fun and play. It's the house of things that you do because you love to do them, right? That's the 5th house. It's also the house involving children. So if you are somebody who has children, that could be a source of motivation, inspiration, or activation this week. This is actually a great week for you to connect with a group of people, especially maybe like a spiritual community, a creative community, a community that where you feel supported and understood, to do something, to initiate something involving an educational opportunity that you are deeply passionate about because it's something that you love and that you want to create. This would also be a really great time to engage in some sort of new educational opportunity or educational group for your children or involving your children. This could be a great week to travel for pleasure if that's something that's applicable and available to you right now. But in general, this is a time where you're going to be feeling really motivated to do the things that you love, especially if you're a Taurus, sun, moon, or rising, anywhere from 20 to 25 degrees. You're going to be feeling this really positively. Like this is a transformative energy where you're going to be feeling really amped up and lit up to not only do the things that you're passionate about, but to stay true to yourself and to initiate out of integrity, to initiate based on what you truly value, what you truly hold dear. And so I love this energy for Taurus. For Gemini and for Gemini rising. So for Gemini, this Mars Neptune opposition energies happen. happening in your 10th and in your 4th house. And so there's some energy where you might have been feeling some confusion or some ambivalence around what action to take, maybe in your home life, your family life, your living situation, but also potentially in your work and your career. And so this is a week where you can gain clarity. This is a week where if you use your intuition as a guide, but don't allow your sensitivities and other people's opinions and everything that's going on energetically outside to influence you too heavily. If you stay true to yourself, right, then you're going to know what direction to take. This is also a really great week to initiate something very specific that you need to take action on, involving your home or a home renovation project, a move, involving your family, involving finances connected to property, a move, your home, or your family as well. This is also a really powerful time for healing, very directly through being very direct, through taking direct action. This could be an opportunity to heal through some sort of family or ancestral trauma or early childhood trauma that might come up in a very overt way where you're like, I'm just going to take hold of this and I'm going to nip it in the bud. I'm going to do it, right? And so, so this is a powerful time for very intense, maybe quick transformation, even when it comes to, those past anxieties, traumas, transformation on a psychological level that could occur this week. For Cancer and for Cancer rising. So for Cancer, this energy is happening in your 3rd and in your 9th house. I love that Mars is in trine with Pluto, with Mars in the 3rd house and Pluto in the 7th house. And so especially if you're a Cancer sun, moon, or rising anywhere from, let's say 20 to 27 degrees, you're going to be feeling this in a really powerful, really positive way. You're going to have Neptune actually trining your ascendant and sextiling your descendant. You're going to have Pluto on the descendant as a part of a more positive configuration, and you're going to have Mars actually trining your descendant as well. And so if you're somebody who's in partnership right now, especially a long-term committed partnership like a marriage partnership or something along those lines, this is an opportunity to heat things up. This is an opportunity to renew the spark of passion in your relationship. This is a really great time to deepen your connection, your intimacy on a physical, mental, and psychological level. This is a really great time to facilitate intimacy in all relationships, physical or non-physical. This is a really great time to connect with somebody very intensely and very quickly and very directly. So this is a good time to be direct with somebody and to have a very truthful and very sort of vulnerable conversation in a way that's very direct, and to have it go potentially quite well, because you're going to be approaching it in a way that's very truthful, very precise, but also very empathic and very compassionate. And you might have somebody who comes to you in a similar manner to, share something with you, and that might deepen your bond with this person. So I love that energy. Also, just a great energy overall for engaging in some sort of learning process for spirituality, astrology, occult sciences, things of that nature. That's all amped up right now too, especially like a quick win or a quick sort of course, or to share something. Maybe you're teaching some sort of quick course, or you're working with somebody one-on-one on that level, or starting to work with somebody one-on-one on that level. This would be a good time to kind of move into that. For Leo and for Leo rising. So for Leos, this is happening in your 2nd and in your 8th house. And so for Leos, this is a time where you're going to be feeling amped up and ready to take action on something involving your finances. This is something where, especially if it's being generated through your own hard work, because Pluto's in your 6th house, you're going to be hyper focused. You're going to be hyper able to manifest whatever it is that you desire when it comes to your finances, when it comes to your work, when it comes to these work-related projects and plans. And so, this is good energy for that. There could have been some ambivalence or some confusion or some like kind of weirdness in general around finances more recently. If that's the case, this is a time where you're going to clear things up and you're going to be able to move forward, but you have to approach it very analytically and very in a way that's very grounded and very pragmatic, but also you're going to have to lean on your intuition without leaning on it too much, because that's kind of the danger here, is like feeling things out without, feeling things out and trusting your gut without actually doing the work or figuring out the details. And, this is a week where you actually can be precise and figure out the details and make your plans a reality. So that's what's going on for Leo. And for Virgo rising. So for Virgo, Mars is in your sign, so you might be feeling fired up, and especially fired up for a cause. With Mars in opposition to Neptune, it's a lot easier. And although Virgos might be feeling fired up to stand up for themselves as well, it's a lot easier with that Mars-Neptune opposition to stand up for others, right? To stand up for people who maybe don't have the ability to stand up for themselves in the same way that you do, than it is to stand up for yourself. And so this is a really good time for you to advocate for somebody you care about, to advocate for somebody who you're close with, or to advocate for somebody just in general who you feel compassion toward, who you know needs someone on their side, so you can help them get that win, so you can help them achieve what they need to achieve. This is also a great energy where you can achieve what you want to achieve. And so you have Pluto in trine with Mars in your sign, especially if you're a Virgo, sun, moon, or rising, anywhere from 20 to 27 degrees, you're going to be feeling fired up. You're going to be feeling focused. You're going to be feeling determined, and you're going to be a hyper manifester this week. Anything that you want to create, you're going to be able to draw it in, and anyone who's standing in your way, you're going to be able to energetically not push them out. You won't push them out of the way. This is a compassionate energy. But you'll it's like the seas will part, and you will just be able to walk right in. And so if there's something you're passionate about and you want to make it happen, now's the time to just go for it. The energy's there. You are supported. For Libra and for Libra rising. So for Libras, this energy with Mars in opposition to Neptune, this is actually hitting you in kind of a more interesting way. There could be a secret that's revealed this week, or something that's been going on that's been hidden behind closed doors that's revealed and comes out and causes you to need to focus your attention or take action on something behind the scenes, especially involving your home, your family, your property, your place of living. There could have been some confusion or some ambivalence around your work or your work relationships that's going to be cleared up when this event transpires or this secret is exposed, and then you're going to know exactly what you need to do and where you need to go. But this is a great week for you to focus more internally, to focus on your spiritual practices, and especially like physical spiritual practices that have some sort of practical application. This would be a really great time for you to kind of lean on that a little bit more. But this is a really good time for you to become motivated and to do something. So maybe it's like you need to do something involving your family. There's something that needs to be cleared up. The air needs to be cleared, or something needs to be initiated. Maybe you want to initiate something to transform your home environment or your place of living. I keep knocking into this because it's close to me, so I apologize if there's a sound. So anyway, this is a powerful week for doing something behind the scenes that you're probably not going to share out in the open just yet. You're not ready for that, but it's something that you're cultivating, and that will have a positive impact once you're ready to release it and put it forth. Okay, and then for Virgo and for Virgo rising. So for Virgos, this energy of Pluto and Mars and the opposition to Neptune, this is happening in your 11th and in your 5th house. So this is especially really nice for Scorpio. Did I say Virgo or Scorpio? Anyway, you guys are Scorpios. So this is a really nice energy for Scorpio. I love this energy for initiating new group connections. And so, maybe you're joining some sort of new like-minded community. Maybe you're networking for work. Maybe you're just meeting new friends, putting yourself out there a little bit more when it comes to your social circle, your social relationships. And even if you're not, doing that intentionally, it might just be kind of happening for you this week. This would be a good week to connect with a like-minded spiritual community that has some sort of practical application, like my Cosmic community. But seriously though, this is a good time to connect and have deeper conversations with groups of people that you surround yourself with by choice. This is also in trine with Pluto in the sign of Capricorn, which is in your 3rd house for a while now. And just in general, because you're a Scorpio, you've not been very tolerant of surface level connections, fluff and surface level, communications and conversations. This is where you're going to really crave the deeper truths, the deeper connections, the deeper information. And this is where you're going to seek that out and actively engage with it within some sort of community setting or within your social circle or friend group. You're going to be feeling very fired up and passionate about something, potentially some sort of cause that you care about. And you're going to have the power to manifest and draw things in the way that you see fit. But you're going to have some like deeper, better connections, I would say, this week, especially from the vantage point of a Scorpio who craves like deep, loyal, truthful connection and community. For Sagittarius and Sagittarius rising. So for Sagittarius, Mars is in your 10th house. There might have been, so you're probably feeling fired up to stand up for some sort of cause out in the open. It could even be that you're feeling fired up to stand up for your coworkers or your employees, or to advocate for people in the workplace, to stand up to somebody who's in a position of power and authority, again, on behalf of other people, or maybe on behalf of your family, because that's where you're feeling really compassionate and really compelled to stand up. That could be part of it as well. So maybe it's like you're wanting to stand up to somebody who is pushing your family members around, or pushing something on you, or pushing something on your family, and you're like, okay, enough of this. And you'll be able to do it, and it will actually be way more well received than you think it will. This could also be you wanting to initiate something involving not just your career, but your financial situation. It's like launching into a career-related opportunity this week. And it's not an opportunity that's just coming to you. It's something that you're working for. It's something that you're taking action on. It's something that you've been mentally and psychologically cultivating, that you're ready to pull the trigger on. You're ready to jump into. And you have that psychological and emotional ability to draw it in and to push out of the way, not physically, but like energetically, anything in your path. And you have the ability to, you have the energy to actually make it happen. And so this is a great week for Sagittarius to jump in and take action on your ambitions this week for sure. For Capricorn and for Capricorn rising. So for Capricorn, this energy is happening in your 3rd and in your 9th house. This is actually quite nice for Capricorns. Especially if you're a Capricorn sun, moon, or rising anywhere from 20 to 27 degrees, you're probably feeling this in a very positive way. I like this a lot. So you're going to be feeling very fired up and very committed to taking action from a place of integrity, from a place that's centered on what you truly value, what you truly believe, what you truly hold dear when it comes to your philosophical, religious, or ethical value systems, right? So this is you like feeling fired up, like this is what's right and I'm going to do what's right. This is also you feeling really fired up about maybe an educational pursuit or project, or something new that you're learning, or a new piece of information that comes in this week, and you have the ability to really take that and run with it and do something really important with it this week. So great energy for Capricorn. Also, just in general, great energy for compassionate but very direct and very precise communication and connections, especially one-on-one, but just kind of in general. And a good time to connect with your community, very literally, like in your immediate environment too. Okay. And for Aquarius and Aquarius rising, this energy is happening in your 2nd and in your 8th house. And so, this is where you're feeling fired up, maybe for some sort of short-term financial goal, right? Maybe there's been some confusion, some ambivalence, some wateriness around your financial situation over the past few years, past few months, whatever. I mean, Neptune's been in Pisces for a while. And so for quite some time now, and having Pisces in the 2nd house, it can be hard to kind of hold on to your resources. Your resources become liquid. They slip through your fingers. It's hard to keep them tangible and in your possession. Now is a time where you might find a solution to that, right? If that's an issue that's been concerning you. And so this is a time where you can take action on something that brings in money, maybe in the short term, like a very intense, very quick short-term investment opportunity. This is also where you might want to take action on something involving your partner's finances, insurance, taxes, inheritance, that type of thing. Maybe all of a sudden feeling like, okay, I need to, especially with that trying to Pluto, okay, I need to create a will. I need to make sure that my assets are protected. This is also, this is a very protective energy, right? This could also be you financially advocating for somebody who is less fortunate or doesn't have the means to advocate for themselves, or helping somebody, feeling like you need to help somebody who maybe doesn't have the resources that you have. And maybe this is you actually lending money, or maybe somebody reaches out and lends money to you. Like there's this energy here of like taking direct action from a place of compassion to help somebody else financially. And that can go both ways. Okay. And then for Pisces and for Pisces rising. So for Pisces, this is happening in your sign. And so this is a very passionate energy in relationships. So this is another one where if you are married, if you are connected in that way, if you're in some sort of long-term romantic partnership, this is where things are going to heat up physically, emotionally, energetically, where you can really reignite that spark, or ignite that spark even further. And so great week for those types of connections. And in general, this is a week where you might meet somebody and just feel really drawn to them. You might feel really fired up by them. You might feel really excited about this connection, right? This is a very intense energy, a very intense connection that could come in. All of your connections this week are going to be more intense, but also, but not necessarily in a bad way. So this is where your relationships with other people, your friendships, your group associations, your one-on-one connections are going to cause you to feel much more motivated psychologically and energetically, and also physically, to take action on whatever it is that drives you, whatever it is that you need to take action on. This is also you wanting to take action on behalf of somebody else, or on behalf of a group of people that maybe can't take action for themselves, or you feel like you need to stand up for them in some way. If that's the case, you have the green light to do it, and you have the ability to make a lot of progress. This is where you're going to have much deeper types of connections with your social circle this week. No surface level stuff. No, what do they call that? Like small talk and chit chat. This is where you want to get down into it with your social circle, with your friends. You want to get down into the muck. You want to figure out what's going on. You want to talk about the truth, and that's going to motivate you to take action on something. So that's what's going on for Pisces. And so that is the forecast for all 12 signs. And, next week, you guys, it's actually quite nice. So we have a big, beautiful new moon in the sign of Virgo. And so that's happening on September 6th. And this is actually forming an exact super tight trine with Uranus, which is in retrograde in the sign of Taurus. I love this energy. Not only that, but the Mars trine to Pluto that I was talking about throughout this forecast is coming exact on that day. Venus is an exact trine with Jupiter. And this is also a grand trine being formed between the sun and moon. So the new moon, that sun-moon conjunction, Uranus and Taurus, and Pluto, which is in the sign of Capricorn and has been for quite some time. And so what does that all mean, right? This is a time where big changes can occur, where you're going to be able to figure out your plans, to figure out the details. And this is, again, a very supportive energy for showing up in service and helping other people. That's the highest expression of Virgo. If you are somebody who wants to change something for the better, not just for you, but for the benefit of others, now's a time where you can make that happen. This is also a great time for group connections. This is a great time to shake things up and make changes on a personal level for whatever it is that you need to make changes on. Like, this is where that Uranus energy that's been disrupting us and causing a lot of chaos in our lives, that's where this energy is being mitigated and released in a way that's very pragmatic, that's very supportive, and maybe more humble and more selfless as well. But this is where that energy has a practical outlet for use, where you can actually make the changes you've been wanting to make and do it in a way that's gentle and not abrasive, that's disruptive in a more positive way, that feels comfortable, that feels supportive, and in a way that's very practical, where you're not just throwing the baby out with the bathwater. And so I love this energy, and we'll talk about this a lot more in next week's forecast. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoy this video, like the video, subscribe to my channel, and comment below and let me know how this week has been going for you, what's been going on for you recently, and what you're looking forward to with this like new moon energy coming up. What changes are you trying to make in your life moving forward? And I will read your comments, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.